Just UX, and this is why dolphins get faded and elevated off pufferfish. How animals play. The channel geographic. Okay. Is this gonna be a wholesome video? How animals play? I don't know, but I hope it is, because yeah, there are not many of those. But when there is one from geographic, it's always wholesome. I don't know how else to say that, but let's watch it. Yep, I love this one.
Hi. Good morning.
Ma'am? Sorry, man, you okay? No, I'm trying to finish. Everybody has a different playing style.
Fun. F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere at any time at all. And I appreciate how that song spells out fire, not fun, and we all just collectively accepted that. But fun isn't just a human construct that man, or a talking sponge, invented. Nah, plenty of animals have ways of having a good time. Take wolves for example. Wolves are social animals, so it makes sense that they'd use play to strengthen bonds in the pack. Wolves in the wild will do things like play tug-of-war, or try to get others to chase them. And it's not just the pups doing it, the adults get in on it too. They even have a specific way of inviting others to play. A play bow is like the wolf version of a friend request, and it's a signal that they want others to get in on the games. And if you don't believe me, play bow in front of your dog and watch how fast you get his undivided attention.
Okay.
Because dogs are all about play. It's why stronger dogs will actively hold back and restrain themselves just to keep their playmate engaged in the games going. It's called self-handicapping, and you'll often see it with male puppies letting physically weaker female puppies win. They know what they're doing. They know, and if you've ever had a girlfriend, you do too. I'll tell you what, coyotes sure do. But adult wolves rarely self-handicap because they rarely nerf themselves on purpose. But I'll tell you one thing dogs did get from wolves: fetch. That's right, we didn't come up with that. In an experiment in Stockholm University in Sweden, researchers hand-raised a litter of puppies, making sure to get them comfortable with their presence, but not playing with them. And at 8 weeks old, they brought in a person the wolf pups had never seen before to administer a series of tests. One of those tests involved tossing a tennis ball, and to the shock of the scientists, some of the wolf pups actually retrieved the ball and returned it to them. Remember, we're talking about wolves here. Wolves that hadn't been trained or motivated to do that. They basically just freestyled the game of fetch. Not all the wolf pups did this, but understanding human cues was thought to be a domestic dog thing, so realistically none of them should have. We didn't teach dogs fetch, it was already programmed into their software. But if we didn't teach them, who did? Well, maybe ravens.
I mean, dogs were once wolves, right? They evolved into dogs to begin with. I guess it's just, they're just smart enough to realize that, oh, look at that, that human wants the ball back. Oh, look at that, it's a game, maybe. That's why not all wolves did it, but some did, I guess. But yeah, it could be genetic.
Because we've already talked about the wolf-raven relationship arc. But ravens have been seen seemingly playing with specific puppies in the pack. They'll play tug-of-war with sticks. The ravens will do things like tease them to get the wolf pups to chase after them. And sometimes the ravens will even fly over them with sticks to get them to jump. These childhood games are probably how ravens and wolves can form legitimate emotional bonds. And it actually makes a lot of sense that this kind of thing would happen, since wolves are social pack animals and ravens are one of the most playful things with wings while also having the intelligence of a small child.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna see, the smarter an animal is, the more playful they usually are. And that's because play typically comes down to two things: manipulating the objects around you and interacting with others. Two things that do require intelligence. Like take bees, probably the most intelligent eusocial insect.
I mean, I think after a certain level of intelligence, you get bored a lot, so you find a pattern to amuse yourself, which is playing basically. So it kind of makes sense where smarter animals play to begin with, right? But the crows and, the wolves thing, I didn't know that. But yeah, that is really awesome. Watching clips of crows and wolves actually playing.
Out there. Well, in an experiment in the Queen Mary University in London, scientists built a setup where bees had a choice: take a path leading directly to food, or explore a path with an obstacle course of tiny wooden balls. And to add to that, one side had wooden balls that were fixed in place, while the others were loose and could be rolled around. Not only did every bee choose the ball path, every single one tried rolling a ball at least once. Some of the bees even went right back after eventually stopping for food. And to make it even more interesting, it was actually the juvenile bees that spent the most time ball rolling. So yeah, that's actually how he found out bees can play. But the question is, What other insects can? Well, we can probably rule out ants, and here's why. It's not because they're not smart enough to goof off and play games.
They are.
It's because they probably get murked by the queen before they have enough time to figure it out.
Yeah.
'Cause an ant colony runs like an efficient engine, and any part not doing their part gets turned into past tense. And queen
They're
ants
basically
are
slaves.
crazy cutthroat, like to the point where they'll actively sabotage their own colony just to keep themselves higher in power. The trade-off is the ant colony is a militia that's capable of cutting down animals hundreds of times their size. And in a game like the Ants Underground Kingdom, you get to personally watch an ant colony overwhelm threats like mantises, eviscerate spiders, and even flex on lizards. And this isn't just a game mechanic. There are actual ants out there that'll go out of their way to meal prep spiders. And lizards in South America had to literally evolve to avoid getting packed up by a swarm of fire ants.
Whoa,
True
fire
story.
ants.
And in the Ants Underground Kingdom, you get to add to your insect infantry by hatching and raising them, including a class of special ants with special abilities. But it's not all war all the time, and you also get to explore and design ant nests for your ant colony to live in. And you know, it's graphics like that that won this game the best game changer of 2021 by Google Play. Also, the Ants Underground Kingdom will be releasing a new version December 16th, along with epic new heroes I can't tell you more about because I don't even know who they are yet, but I can tell you about the special redeem code they have for you all. If you use the redeem code TheAntsXmas, you'll get 50 eggs which you can use to get purple special ants and other cool ant swag. So to play the world's first ant strategy mobile game, make sure to download the Ants Underground Kingdom using the link in the description. But just because you can play one game about ants doesn't mean ants are the ones to play games. But corvids like crows and ravens definitely are, and it goes way beyond weaponizing wolves. Cause as cute as this may be, and it really is, you could argue that keeping wolves close is in their best interest.
Yeah.
But then there's this, a raven using a plastic lid as a sled to slide down snowy hills. And then you have this raven sliding down the roof of a public library. Or at least trying to. And they have nothing to gain from doing this. This is unrewarded play, and basically it means, yeah, they're not doing it for survival or anything, they're just doing it to have a good time. Yeah, I wasn't kidding.
It's
For a
so
bird whose
good.
group name is an unkindness, ravens and really corvids in general are probably the most playful birds on the planet. It's why you'll see them actively mess with other animals just for the memes, even if it means instigating a literal catfight for their own entertainment.
This is so good.
Next time you're wondering how animals have fun,
Look at how it is. Look at the cat fight and just crow just going so close and just observing. Yeah, get him. I saw this clip on Tier Zoo, I guess. It still gets me. I mean, no, about crows, I mean, it makes sense knowing how crows are smart, but you would not think like, okay, you think dogs play, cats play, sure. You can even think something like, dolphins play, sure. You could think about something similar type of that animals play, fine. But thinking like crows play too, seeing the crows sliding down the ice ledge or whatever that's just fucking awesome.
I want you to remember this snowboarding crow. Or you can think of this self-tobogganing otter. River otters in Yellowstone have been seen getting a running start and snow surfing down icy slopes. Now, at first scientists just figured it was their way of getting around.
Yeah.
That theory fell apart when they watched the river otters run back up the slope like kids at a water park, only to slide back down. And that goes back to unrewarded play because the otters don't gain anything but a good time. And FOMO for otters is a real thing because you're more likely to see them sliding as a group than just solo. And like ravens, you can almost see how intelligence and playfulness almost goes hand in hand, especially since otters are considered to be the most intelligent of all mustelids, being part of the special class of animals that are able to use tools, to the point where river otters will seem to juggle rocks when they get excited. No, like seriously, we had no idea why they were doing this until researchers at a zoo noticed they started juggling rocks more when it got closer to their feeding time. We still don't know exactly what it is about food that makes otters start juggling rocks, but sometimes you need to just take a moment to stop asking why just to enjoy what's in front of you. Like, why do crocodiles
What the fuck did I just saw? What the fuck? Oh, what? They're juggling rocks. That's what?
closer to their feeding time? We still don't know
at this
exactly
shit.
what it is about food that makes otters start
What?
juggling rocks, but sometimes you need to just take a moment to
Look
stop
at this.
asking why just to enjoy what's in front of you. Like,
Oh my
why
God.
do crocodiles like the color pink? Because according to anecdotal observations,
Nail polish. It's so good. The otter, oh god, they're juggling rocks. This is so good. Why isn't YouTube dominated by clips like that, right? One of the most famous clips that is. It's all cats and dogs, domestic. But there should be more clips like that. Oh god, this is so good, man. It's just like juggling a bit.
crocodilians seem to have a pink preference, favoring tossing around small objects that look like the result of a red-white affair. It's why the prehistoric predator that's been terrorizing the planet for hundreds of millions of years can be seen picking pink flowers with its jaws. Crocs apparently have other ways of having fun. They'll take turns going down
They have a
natural
soft
water
side
slides
too.
and swim right back up and do it again. They'll give each other piggyback rides, just cuz. And there's even a story where animal behavior expert Vladimir Dene claimed to witness an alligator seemingly play with a group of river otters in Big Cypress in Florida because Florida. You know, I'm not even kidding. He has a whole paper on play behavior in crocodilians, and he talks about watching river otters regularly visit one specific gator and mess with him by getting close to him, nipping at his tail, and even splashing water on his head. Most gators would respond to this by just submerging, but this one gator played along by lunging at the otters. I know what you're probably thinking, and to that, I give you this. At one point, one of the otters slipped down the bank and was immediately grabbed by the gator. But instead of making an example out of it, the prehistoric merc machine just released it perfectly unharmed. It was like a game that both of them were in on.
That
And
seals
unlike
it.
wolves and ravens, gators and otters have legitimate beef in some.
Yeah, but I was about to say like river otters and this is like something okay, because I've seen many clips by geographic where river otters just makes it a horror show at that point. But yeah, this is really good, man. So the releasing of the river otter implies that clearly they are playing, because otherwise I'm like okay, he's just stupid. Every other one just submerges and this one attacks. It's just I guess a bit more stupid, but no, that's not the case. It's literally playing.
Parts. But like I said, sometimes you need to forget about the why and just enjoy the what. And what happened was, these games went on for a couple days until the marsh eventually dried up and the alligators and otters both moved on. That's not the only example of crocodilians at play, that just happens to be the best one I got. Another time was when a gator found a football in his swamp, and instead of easily popping it, it seemed to toy with it by grabbing it with his jaws and tossing it around. You know, I could 100% use this to make a Florida Gators joke, but at this point I think it would be low-hanging fruit. But crocodiles and alligators being playful goes right in line with the intelligence point I made earlier. Despite having a brain in the weight class of a walnut, crocodilians are much more intelligent than they get credit for. Unlike dolphins, who get all of the credit for it. Now you probably know dolphins like to have fun. The problem is, most of their pastimes would probably get this video age restricted with the quickness. Like for example, when two Amazon River dolphins were seen playing with a Benny anaconda. I put playing in quotes because both dolphins were visibly aroused, and the snake ended up flatlining, likely to drowning. And knowing what I know about dolphins, that's probably what got them excited. Because most dolphin fun comes at someone's expense. I can repeat that same sentence without the fun and it'd still be accurate. I give you Exhibit A. But dolphins can have fun in safer work ways too. They'll take turns chasing each other in games that can last hours. They'll find random objects to carry around and even play catch with.
The more smart you are, the more fucked up you are, apparently. That's this example.
Oh, and a little fun fact for you. One of a dolphin's favorite things to play with includes sargassum seaweed. Researchers actually watched dolphins in the Bahamas play a kind of keep-away game with the seaweed. But the best part was the dolphins were used to being around humans, and eventually they invited the researchers to play with them. And no amount of scientific integrity would stop any of us from saying no. Dolphins have also been seen surfing the bow waves produced by ships, sometimes for miles on end. It's not like they just do it to save energy. A group of spinner dolphins actually memorized the path scientists on a boat would take. So every morning the spinner dolphins would show up and ride the bow wave as the scientists traveled to their site. The dolphins would leave for a bit, but then return and do the exact same thing when the scientists started heading back. So yeah, it's really no surprise that the smartest thing in the ocean can be as playful as a child, because honestly, they're probably as smart as one. So smart that many believe that dolphins will purposely seek out pufferfish just to get them elevated. Apparently, the tetrodotoxin that can discharge you from the population in minutes has something of a narcotic effect in small doses, to the point where people will swear by seeing dolphins take turns passing the puffer until they're all stuck on its product. And if dolphins were humans, they'd definitely be the ones huffing markers in class. By the way, you really shouldn't do that. But dolphins are far from the only ones that get elevated and hella faded. It's believed that cats will eat grass and leaves because they contain folic acid, which helps move oxygen around the blood. Plus, when they throw it up, it helps clean out their system. So it shouldn't be a surprise to see the
Dolphins getting high. It's just, yeah, that's like frog equivalent to them, right?
the biggest cat in America chewing on leaves. What's surprising is that it seems to put the jaguar in a trance and even induces kitten-like behavior. Like to the point where people believe that this apex predator
Yeah, the dolphin passing on a pufferfish just to get high, that's just like next level shit. But dolphins get fade in an elevator of pufferfish. Now the title makes sense. I read the title like, what the fuck is it on about? But that's what it's on about.
Go out of its way to chew on leaves from the Yaji. And in doing so, they book a flight on the same plane as Joe Rogan. Scientists can't say for sure just why jaguars will go to these lengths to get zooted. Many natives will tell you that jaguars do it to buff their perception and senses, which heightens their hunting abilities. We don't know if the plants even affect them like that, but let's be real. We all know that look. That boy is gone. If your child ever came home looking like this, you definitely give them a talking to. So it's in my non-professional opinion that jaguars will purposely get off.
They do that because their ability gets heightened. They're more of a, I guess, assassin type jaguar now. They can hunt at a distance. Jaguar, like, yeah, all that reason. Write all that shit down. That's why I'll be doing this.
when they're not busy hunting for a living. Because when nothing in the jungle can press you, you can afford to.
Yeah.
Not the case for pandas though. They gotta take licks from everybody. That doesn't stop them from being a walking viral clip every time they're on camera. But there's actually a reason why you can make an entire playlist on pandas being cute. Mother pandas usually only raise one baby at a time. If she pops out twins, then it's all good for Mary Kay, but it might be up for Ashley. For most of a young panda's life, its only playmate is its mother. So when keepers hand raise baby pandas and the baby pandas imprint on them, this is what happens, because this is what they do with their actual mothers. Another thing pandas like to go viral for is their very much one-sided beef with gravity in the form of falling out of trees. Well, like I said, a lot of animals can pack up pandas, especially when they're young, so their only option is to climb, which very much makes trees their safe haven. They climb to avoid predators, they climb to avoid other pandas, they'll even sometimes go through the process of making another panda in the trees. Trees are so important that young pandas instinctively love climbing. So much that many believe that the reason pandas like to hug their caretaker's legs is because they see human legs as trees and honestly can't help themselves. And while this might be fun for them, this is actually a form of rewarded play, since climbing ends up being a massive part of their life. But so does rolling around, and there might be a reason for that too.
Look at this shit.
First of all, panda bones are weirdly thick and heavy for their size, so the falls and tumbles they take don't hurt them nearly as much as you'd expect them to. Also, pandas are nearsighted, so it's possible they legitimately can't see what's in front of their faces. But many scientists believe pandas just enjoy rolling around, like to the point where mothers will often join their cubs doing it. They're not the only bears that can be playful. Polar bears can actually be just as goofy, it's just that pandas are a lot less likely to John Wick a human for food. Polar bears can form friendships where they eat, travel, and play together, and these relationships can last years. Their favorite way to bond is by wrestling, and like with dogs,
Look, they're all bears in the end, so I guess all the bears have this thing in common, I guess, right? He made a good point there. Like if you can afford to do this, you would basically, so that the top animals who don't have to be afraid of the most predators would be playful like that, because they're not constantly panicking for their survival, right? There's a reason why, you know, house cats and house dogs are more playful. They don't have to be afraid of anything, right? They escaped the food chain, right? They're with you in your home, eating with whatever factory food that you made or something.
the stronger polar bear will often self-handicap and let the smaller bear win. And also,
Patting
like
him
with
all
dogs,
that
polar
shit.
bears have their own way of asking for permission to play too. In their case, a polar bear will move its head from side to side to initiate a friendly sparring session. These pair bonds usually last a summer until they eventually go their separate ways for the harsh winter season. But time and time again, scientists have seen the same polar bear friends reuniting after breeding season and carrying on like nothing ever happened. And honestly, I feel like most adult friendships go just like that. As in, you can go months without speaking or hearing from each other, but you can also link up and go on like they never left. But of course, polar bears know how to have fun by
Yeah, some kind of college friend, then they're married, go away for some job or something, they come back to the same city. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you. Yeah, kind of makes sense. That's the same shit here.
themselves too. Polar bears have been seen sliding down hills or across ice for hours for no reason other than having fun. So basically, even the biggest land predators on the planet know how to have a good time. But what about the biggest land animal, period? Well, it turns out, having fun is actually an important part of an elephant's life, and males and females are different in how they do it. Young males love rough housing and play fighting, which actually helps prepare them for a future of running fades for female validation. This natural playful aggression is why you'll often see young male calves chasing around other animals. Hold on, wait for it. And there it is. That's what it looks like for a baby elephant to throw a tantrum. Fun for young females usually involves thrashing around vegetation, sticks, bones, and anything else they can wrap their trunks around. But the ultimate sign of elephant fun is something they do called the floppy run. And it's exactly what it sounds like. When elephants really get excited, they'll shake their heads from side to side, they'll let their trunks hang loose and their ears flap in the wind, and they'll just run, all while trumpeting. It's usually calves and young teenagers that get floppy with it, but sometimes the whole herd gets involved. But considering half an elephant's time is spent in the water, then it makes sense that half their fun happens in there too. And if you've ever seen elephants playing in the water, it's actually wild how much they look like kids in a pool. There's something really satisfying about watching a 12,000-pound vibe check splashing around in water like a child.
Yeah.
And often they'll spray water at each other or sometimes even other animals just for the sport of it. And in this case, other animals can very much include
I like how deers are like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Just running away. Like, this elephant's going crazy.
humans. But all this lighthearted fun might actually be crucial to their survival. You see, some studies say that the most playful elephant calves grow up to be the ones best at coping with environmental stress, which increases their chances of survival. Again, we don't know if this is 100% true, but like I said, sometimes you need to just forget about why and just enjoy watching a baby elephant take a shower. But that's gonna do it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for the support this year. It really does mean a lot. And best believe, I got a lot more stuff planned for 2023. But for now, happy holidays, stay safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Oh god, this is so good.
Oh, the other two, they just switch swim positions, that's all.
Oh, give up.
Pandas are extremely clumsy. That's just fun. That's why pandas that are the cutest one there is, right? Because how clumsy they are. The constant follow and shit like that. Oh god, this was really wholesome video. The wholesome video from this channel yet, I guess. This was really epic, man. I didn't know about the crows, right? How they play in the snow like that. I didn't know about the bears, right? Especially the polar bears that play as well. I mean, a lot of they're basically alligators and, river otters. Okay, that's a surprising thing. Because every time I hear about, okay, alligators and river otters, I know that's going to end in some brutal way horror show, basically. No, apparently they play. This is incredible. See, again, every time we learn something about animals, or especially the wolf thing, that's a new thing apparently. The wolf can play with the balls as well. Every time we learn something about animals more and more, we feel like they are more closer to us than we would have thought, right? I mean, only, situation changes that. Like if they're constantly under stress and, fight for their survival, they're not going to be playful. But that applies to humans as well, right? Nobody in World War I was playing with anything, right? Unless you think of Christmas truce. But still, that applies to everyone. But when they can, they play around. Elephants play around. The fucking bears play around. This is incredible, especially the bird too. Crows. Okay. Right, if you like my next video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.